Hi, I'm Kevin Kraut. Today we just did a session on communism, and I want to explain some concepts of united order or the future of how I see things as happening. One of the problems we see in fundamentalist people today, fundamentalist Mormon people in Utah, there seems to be the same thing as what Klingon was saying. There was a dictator up here. It could be a family, and then all of their family underlings have the power, and people join their religion, and then they usurp their authority, or they steal money from them, or they take money from other people. We've seen some real corruption happening in some of the groups, and it seems to me that this is a kind of a communistic type of form of government, and eventually this is going to break apart. It has to come down to the very session that there cannot be corruption, there cannot be these kind of things happening inside these groups. There's going to have to be, at some point, the people are going to wake up and say, you know what, this is an incorrect doctrine. The early Christians did not practice this type of doctrine, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to say, well, what do you mean? You know, your dad wrote a book called United Order. Well, study United Order, find out what it was all about. It was that we had stewardships, we had things that we worked with. I mean, the Amish, they do all this. The Hutterite people, they understand these concepts. It is working for the whole, but working on your own as well, and not having somebody dictate or take away. I've heard horror stories where there's families that work all their lives in these groups, and then some corrupt guy comes in and takes their family or steals something or whatever, or going to take all the wives and give them to somebody else. And he has nothing because he has nothing. And that was not the Founding Fathers' concept, nor do I think it was God's concept. I think it was that the individual should have his due. One gentleman I know did go with an order in Missouri, and when he went, he showed them how much money he gave and how much money he brought to the order. And when he left, the order gave him everything back. Now, the time that he spent building or working on the greenhouses or whatever he was doing, well, that was part of the order. But at least they gave him back, and he had the freedom to leave if he wanted to. Unfortunately, we see this cap on people. They're forced into things where they don't have any money, they don't have anything to do. If there are any in these fundamentalist groups that are having a hard time, contact me. We'll try and help you. This is what we're trying to do, is help people understand that this is all about freedom, not by force. Now, real quick, I'm going to tell a quick story. There was a Native American who told me about potlatch. Now, potlatch is an interesting concept because what happened was the Native Americans all got together. It's kind of their one time of the year where they throw everything kind of in the pot, which is the best. Now, Mormon people, we give just our basic stuff and this and that, but like in the Old Testament, they were to give their best sheep, their best of the firstlings or whatever. And so this gentleman was telling me this story, and he says, he worked really hard for this, it was a Cadillac. And he got this Cadillac, and it was the four-wheel drive kind, and he's all excited, Escalade, and he's all excited, and boy, he was happy about it, and he got in there, and he was driving this thing around, and his wife looked at him, and she said, you know, this is the best you have. Are you willing to give it at potlatch? And boy, he didn't want to give it up, you know, and so he, I mean, he still had all his other possessions and things. It was just one of the best things that he could give as a gift to the group, the community. And he had his stewardship. He worked for different companies, and he made lots of money. And he said he got there to potlatch, and he really struggled. And he got out there, and he drove that Escalade out there in the middle and parked it and put the keys in it. And he prayed to God, and he said, listen, God, he says, I know this is of God and all that, but it better be somebody who really needs it, because this is going to hurt, you know. And so the oldest lady who walked every day to the grocery store and back, or however it was, she walked over there and got in that Escalade and drove it off. And he says he just bawled like a baby because he knew she needed that so badly. And he was so grateful. He felt such happiness for giving. And this is what we as a people don't do anymore. We don't give anything. How many of us today reach in our pocket, pull $2 out, give it to the poor guy on the street? Try it every day. Give something to somebody that means something to you and see if it makes a difference in your life.